The skies over Earth darkened as alien ships descended from the stars. These ships belonged to the Zirak, a powerful race known throughout the galaxy for their advanced technology and ruthless conquests. They had set their sights on Earth, believing it to be an easy target. Commander Kalik, the leader of the Zirak fleet, gazed out at the blue planet with a sneer. He had heard stories of humans, primitive, weak, and divided. To him, they were nothing more than a minor obstacle. As the ships landed, a loud roar echoed through the streets of New York City. People screamed and ran, terrified of the towering aliens that emerged. The Zirak warriors were massive, with thick armor and glowing eyes. They marched through the city like conquerors, their weapons ready to strike. Buildings crumbled beneath their power as they unleashed devastating blasts from their energy cannons. Kalik relished the chaos. He ordered his troops to secure the city, believing victory was inevitable. "Capture the humans! We will show them the true meaning of strength," he bellowed, his voice booming across the chaos. His soldiers obeyed without question, eager to demonstrate their dominance. Meanwhile, in a hidden bunker, a group of humans gathered. They were part of a resistance, determined to fight back against the invaders. Led by a brave woman named Sarah, they understood that they could not let fear control them. "We cannot give up," Sarah shouted, her voice steady. "If we stand together, we can find a way to push them back." As the Zirak continued their rampage, they underestimated the resilience of the human spirit. They believed humans would cower in fear, surrendering without a fight. But Sarah and her team were already devising a plan. They had learned about the aliens' weaknesses and began to gather supplies. They knew they needed to act quickly before it was too late. The Zirak's arrogance grew with each passing hour. They captured several key cities, displaying their power for the galaxy to see. Commander Kalik ordered his soldiers to send messages back to their home planet, boasting of their easy victories. "We have taken Earth! Soon its resources will be ours," he proclaimed, his chest puffed with pride. However, back in the bunker, Sarah and her team were not idle. They worked day and night, creating makeshift weapons and training themselves. They were determined to show the Zirak that humans were not as helpless as they believed. "We need to find a way to fight back," Sarah said, rallying her team. "We will not let them win!" Meanwhile, Kalik grew overconfident. He began to taunt the humans, sending out messages demanding their surrender. "You are weak! Your time is over," he declared, laughing as he sent the transmission. He believed no one would dare to defy him. The aliens celebrated their victories, enjoying their perceived superiority. Yet there were whispers among the humans about a hidden power that could turn the tide. They had heard rumors of genetically enhanced animals created for defense, kept in a secret lab. This discovery sparked hope within the resistance. If they could find these creatures, they might stand a chance against the Zirak. As the Zirak continued their assault, they remained blind to the growing determination of the humans. They underestimated their ability to adapt and fight back. The more Kalik boasted, the more the humans resolved to prove him wrong. One night, while the Zirak celebrated in the streets, Sarah and her team set out on a daring mission to find the hidden lab. With every step, they knew they were risking their lives, but their determination burned bright. They refused to let the Zirak's arrogance lead to their defeat. The stage was set for an unexpected confrontation. The invaders, overconfident and blinded by their own power, had no idea that the humans were preparing to unleash something they never expected. As the sun rose over the horizon, both sides were poised for a battle that would change the fate of Earth forever. In the shadows of the crumbling city, Sarah and her team moved swiftly. The glow of the alien ships illuminated the dark streets, creating a haunting atmosphere. They were determined to find the hidden lab that held the genetically enhanced animals. As they navigated through debris and wreckage, whispers of hope filled the air. "Do you really think we can find these creatures?" asked Jake, one of Sarah's closest allies. He had a glimmer of doubt in his eyes, but Sarah was filled with confidence. "We have to believe it. If these animals are as powerful as we've heard, they could change everything for us." The group approached the rumored location, a forgotten research facility on the outskirts of the city. The building was covered in vines and dirt, a remnant of a time before the invasion. As they entered, a musty smell filled their nostrils. Flickering lights barely illuminated the dark hallways, making it difficult to see. "Stay alert," Sarah instructed, her voice steady. The team split into pairs, searching for any sign of the creatures. With every creak of the floorboards, tension filled the air. They had no idea what to expect, but they knew they had to find something that could help them fight back. After searching through dusty rooms and long-abandoned labs, they stumbled upon a large cage. Inside, several animals stirred, their eyes bright and alert. They were unlike any creatures the humans had seen before. Tall and muscular, with fur that shimmered in the dim light, these animals exuded power. Sarah felt her heart race. "They look amazing!" exclaimed Mia, another member of the team. "But are they dangerous?" "We won't know until we try," Sarah replied, moving closer to the cage. With careful movements, she approached the creatures, speaking softly to them. "It's okay. We're not here to hurt you." The animals tilted their heads, sensing her calmness. As Sarah reached the cage, one of the creatures stepped forward. It had striking blue fur and intelligent eyes that seemed to understand her. She extended her hand, and to her surprise, the creature sniffed her fingers gently, then nuzzled her palm. "I think it likes me," she laughed, feeling a wave of connection. Meanwhile, the rest of the team worked to unlock the cage. They had to hurry as the sounds of alien patrols echoed outside. With a final click, the door swung open. The animals surged out, stretching their legs and letting out powerful roars. "They're free!" Jake shouted, his excitement contagious. The creatures bounded around, exploring their new surroundings. But then one of them, a massive beast with dark fur, approached Sarah. It sniffed her again and then sat down, looking up at her as if choosing her as its companion. "I think we just made some powerful friends," Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with hope. The team quickly decided to name the creatures, creating bonds with them. They realized that these animals had been trained for combat, and their loyalty would be vital in the coming battles. As they prepared to leave the lab, Sarah spoke to her team. "We need to train these animals to fight with us. They are not just our allies, they are our hope." The group nodded, understanding the importance of their newfound allies. Outside, the atmosphere was tense. The Zirak continued their patrols, unaware that the humans had gained an unexpected advantage. The Resistance set up a base in the old lab, turning it into a training ground for both humans and animals. Days passed as they trained together. The animals learned to follow commands while the humans adapted to their unique strengths. Sarah felt a deep bond forming, not just with her team but with the creatures as well. They fought side by side, developing trust and teamwork. One evening, as they practiced, Sarah noticed the aliens were becoming more aggressive. The Zirak were no longer just capturing cities. They were looking for the Resistance. Sarah gathered her team and their allies. "It's time to show them what we're made of," she declared, her voice strong. With their new allies by their side, the humans prepared for battle. They knew the Zirak underestimated them, and that would be their greatest weapon. The invaders believed they were still in control, but the tide was about to turn. As the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Sarah felt a surge of determination. They were no longer just humans fighting against aliens. They were a united force, ready to reclaim their planet and prove that they would not go down without a fight. The unlikely allies had formed, and together, they were ready to unleash their strength on the invaders. The day had finally come. Sarah stood at the entrance of their hidden base, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. She looked at her team and their new animal allies, all gathered and ready. Today, they would put their training to the test. They were about to unleash the genetically enhanced creatures on the Zirak invaders. "Are we ready?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The group nodded, their determination shining in their eyes. Beside her, the blue-furred creature she had named Sky let out a low growl, as if sensing the tension in the air. As the sun rose higher, the sounds of alien patrols echoed nearby. The Zirak had taken control of the area, patrolling the streets with their advanced weapons and technology. But the humans had a plan. They would strike when the aliens least expected it. "Remember our training," Sarah reminded her team. "We move fast and strike hard. We must confuse them and take back our city." The group cheered, their spirits high. With their pets by their side, they moved out into the open. The streets were eerily quiet, but they could see the alien ships hovering above. The humans used the cover of nearby buildings, staying low as they approached the enemy's base. Sarah felt the weight of the moment. This was their chance to show the Zirak what they were made of. As they neared the alien patrols, Sarah signaled for everyone to stop. She raised her hand and the team fell silent. With a nod, she pointed to the nearest group of Zirac soldiers. It was time to unleash their allies. "Go!" she shouted, and with that command, the animals sprang into action. Sky led the charge, his powerful legs propelling him forward with incredible speed. The other creatures followed, their muscles rippling as they raced toward the aliens. The Zirac soldiers turned, their eyes wide with shock as the animals barreled into their ranks. The surprise was immediate and chaotic. The creatures leaped, snarling and biting, their enhanced strength overpowering the confused invaders. "Now move in," Sarah yelled, urging her team forward. They took advantage of the chaos, rushing toward the Zirac soldiers who were struggling to regroup. The humans fought alongside their pets, dodging blasts from alien weapons and striking back with their makeshift arms. The Zirac were unprepared for this kind of attack. They had underestimated the humans and their new allies, thinking they would be an easy conquest. But now they faced a fierce and united front. Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline as she fought, her heart pounding with every swing of her weapon. In the midst of the battle, she saw Sky tackle a Zirac soldier, knocking him to the ground. The creature let out a fierce growl, asserting its dominance. The other animals were just as formidable, using their strength and agility to take down the invaders one by one. "Keep pushing!" Sarah shouted to her team. They pressed forward, taking advantage of the confusion. The Zirac were beginning to panic, struggling to control the situation. It was clear that the tide was turning. As the battle raged on, Sarah noticed Galactic, the Zirac commander, watching from a distance. His eyes burned with anger and disbelief. He had come to conquer Earth, but now he was witnessing a fight unlike anything he had anticipated. "This cannot be happening," he growled, his frustration palpable. But the humans were relentless. They fought with everything they had, spurred on by the sight of their animal allies overpowering the aliens. The Zirac soldiers began to retreat, realizing they were outmatched. With a final roar, Sky led the charge toward Galactic. The commander raised his weapon, but it was too late. The blue-furred creature leaped into the air, crashing down on him with incredible force. Galactic fell to the ground, stunned and vulnerable. Sarah stood tall, her heart racing with victory. They had done it. They had turned the tide of the battle and proven the Zirac wrong. The humans were not weak. They were strong and capable, especially when fighting for their home. As the last of the Zirac fled, Sarah looked at her team and their pets. They had formed a bond that was unbreakable. Together, they had achieved the impossible. The city was theirs once more, and they had shown the aliens that Earth was not to be underestimated. The humans celebrated their victory, but they knew this was just the beginning. The Zirac would not give up easily, and they would need to prepare for what lay ahead. With their allies by their side, Sarah felt ready to face whatever challenges the future would bring. The fight for Earth had just begun. The victory in the city had energized Sarah and her team. They celebrated in the streets, their spirits high as they realized they had achieved the impossible. The genetically enhanced animals, now their loyal allies, reveled in the joy alongside the humans. However, Sarah knew the Zirac would not give up easily. They would regroup and come back stronger. "We need to stay prepared," Sarah said, addressing her team as they gathered in their makeshift headquarters. This battle was just the beginning. The Zirac will be angry and they will retaliate. The team nodded, the seriousness of the situation settling in. They began strategizing for the next phase of their fight. They needed to understand the Zirac's tactics and find a way to outsmart them. Days passed, and Sarah kept a close watch on the skies. The Zirac ships had become a common sight, hovering ominously above the city. Occasionally, small patrols descended to test their defenses, but each time, Sarah's team was ready. The animals had adapted well, learning to work alongside the humans in perfect harmony. One afternoon, while on patrol, Jake spotted a group of Zirac soldiers gathering on the outskirts of the city. "Sarah, look!" he called out, pointing to the aliens. They seemed to be planning something big. Sarah narrowed her eyes, her heart racing. We need to find out what they're up to. She quickly gathered her team and their animal allies. Let's scout the area and see if we can gather any information. Moving cautiously through the rubble, they approached the Zirac camp. The aliens were huddled together discussing their next move. Sarah and her team listened closely, trying to catch every word. They learned that Galactic was angry and determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. He was planning a massive attack that would overwhelm the humans and take back control of the city. "We have to warn everyone," Mia whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "If they attack like this, we won't stand a chance." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "We need to prepare our defenses and rally everyone. This will be a fight for our survival." As night fell, the team rushed back to their base. They began organizing their defenses, setting up barriers and traps around the perimeter. The animals helped, their strength and agility making the work easier. Sarah felt a sense of unity and determination among her team. They were ready to protect their home. The next day, as dawn broke, the Zyrak launched their attack. Alien ships filled the sky, and the ground shook as their troops descended. The humans stood ready, their hearts pounding with fear and excitement. Sarah looked at her team and their animal allies, knowing they had to stand strong. "Remember what we've trained for," she shouted. "We are not alone. We fight together." The first wave of Zyrak soldiers surged forward, weapons raised. But this time the humans were ready. They fought back with everything they had, using the traps they had set to their advantage. The genetically enhanced animals charged into battle, roaring and biting, adding to the chaos of the fight. Kalik watched in disbelief as his soldiers struggled against the prepared humans. "What is happening?" he shouted, frustration boiling within him. The humans were no longer the weak beings he had dismissed. They had become fierce fighters, united in their cause. With every passing moment, Sarah felt the tide turning. The humans fought with renewed strength, fueled by their desire to protect their home. The Zyrak, once confident and powerful, began to falter. They were losing ground, retreating under the relentless assault of the humans and their animal allies. Just when Sarah thought victory was within reach, she spotted Kalik at the front lines, barking orders at his troops. He was determined to regain control. "We must push back," he roared, but the fear in his voice was evident. Taking a deep breath, Sarah made a bold decision. "We need to confront Kalik. If we can take him down, it might break their spirit." She gathered her team and their strongest animals, including Sky, who was eager for the challenge. With a fierce battle cry, they charged toward the Zyrak commander. The fight intensified around them, but Sarah's focus remained on Kalik. She knew that if they could defeat him, they could win this battle. As they closed in on the commander, Sarah felt a surge of determination. They had fought hard, and now they were on the verge of turning the tide for good. With their hearts set on victory, the humans and their animal allies pressed forward, ready to face their greatest challenge yet. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and they were prepared to fight for it with everything they had. The battle raged on, chaos erupting around Sarah and her team. They fought with everything they had, pushing toward Kalik, the Zyrak commander. Every moment was filled with adrenaline as they dodged alien blasts and moved through the thick of the fray. Sarah could feel the weight of the situation. This was their last chance to turn the tide. "Keep going!" she shouted to her team, her voice barely rising above the sounds of war. "We can't let Kalik escape!" As they drew closer, Sarah noticed Kalik barking orders at his troops, his confidence slipping as he realized the humans were relentless. Sky, the blue-furred creature at her side, let out a fierce growl, ready to leap into action. Finally, they reached Kalik, who was surrounded by a small group of his remaining soldiers. The Zyrak commander turned, his eyes blazing with fury. "You dare challenge me?" he sneered, raising his weapon. "Yes, we do!" Sarah replied, stepping forward. She could see fear creeping into the Zyrak's expression, and that gave her strength. "You have underestimated us for too long." With that, the fight intensified. The humans and animals charged forward, engaging Kalik and his soldiers in a fierce battle. Sarah fought with determination, striking down Zyrak soldiers as Sky leaped to take down another. Each moment brought them closer to Kalik. Suddenly, Kalik aimed his weapon at Sarah, a look of desperation on his face. "You think you can win? We are the superior race," he shouted, his voice trembling. But Sarah had learned the truth. "It's not about being superior, it's about fighting for what we love," she yelled back, deflecting a blast aimed at her. She could feel the energy of her team and their allies surrounding her, a powerful reminder of their unity. As they fought, Sarah saw an opening. Kalik was distracted, and she took her chance. With a quick motion, she dashed forward, her weapon raised high. In that moment, time seemed to slow. She could feel the weight of every decision she had made leading up to this point. With a swift strike, she knocked Calic's weapon away. The Zirak commander stumbled back, shock evident on his face. "No! This cannot be!" he roared. But before he could regain his balance, Sky lunged at him, pinning him to the ground. As the dust settled, Calic lay defeated, his soldiers scattering in panic. The humans had done the impossible. They had faced their greatest enemy and emerged victorious. Sarah stood over Calic, breathing heavily, feeling the rush of triumph coursing through her veins. "Tell your people that Earth will not fall," she declared, her voice strong. "We will fight for our home, and we will protect it at all costs." Calic looked up at her, a mixture of fear and disbelief in his eyes. The remaining Zirak troops fled, abandoning their commander. The humans cheered, a wave of relief washing over them. They had won the battle, but more importantly, they had united as a force stronger than any alien army. As the dust began to clear, Sarah gathered her team. "We did it!" she exclaimed, her heart swelling with pride. They hugged each other, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The animals joined in their celebration, bounding around, filled with energy and excitement. But Sarah knew this victory was just the beginning. The Zirak might have retreated today, but they would likely return. "We need to prepare for the future," she said, her voice firm. "We can't let our guard down. We must work together to build a stronger defense." The team nodded, understanding the importance of staying vigilant. They began to plan for the days ahead, discussing ways to fortify their city and share their knowledge with other human survivors. They wanted to inspire hope, to show everyone that they could fight back against the invaders. In the following weeks, the humans worked tirelessly. They trained harder, developing new strategies to protect their home. They created alliances with other survivor groups, spreading the word about their victory and the importance of unity. Together, they began to rebuild what had been lost. As Sarah looked over the bustling city, now filled with life and determination, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The fight for Earth had transformed them all. No longer were they just a group of survivors. They were a united force ready to face any challenge. This was a new era for humanity. They had learned the strength of their bonds, the power of their resolve. As they prepared for whatever lay ahead, Sarah knew one thing for certain. They would fight together, and they would never back down again. The future was bright, and it belonged to them.